I think we see it every day. We see it in celebrity culture. We see it in politics. We see it in it's just, and you go to a club, you see it everywhere you go. You know, you see this donning of the mask, how we hide our insecurities, how we hide our humanity, and how we become larger than life in order to do so. Hey. Hey, it's me. Welcome back to Book Talk. I'm your host, Brianka J, and we do everything lit. If it's your first time with me, then you may be intrigued to know that I do literary reviews, literary analysis, and of course, recommendations. Today's video is actually going to be a review, and we're not a review. It's not a damn word. It's an analysis. We're actually going to be analyzing more Ralph Ellison, who is one of my favorite authors, and Jesus. Sorry. Okay. It just doesn't look straight. Okay, so we're going to be reviewing Ellison, who is one of my favorite authors and also the reason that many people found my channel in the first place. And so the last time we talked about him, we focused on the Trickster character of Jim Trueblood. Today, we're going to talk a little bit about Ellison's background and use of that. He did an essay called Change the Joke, Slip the Yoke, and he published it in his book, Shadow and Act. It's actually an essay that he was responding to a literary critic named Edgar Stanley Hyman, who he found to be not understanding his book properly, so he gave him a response. But before we do that, let me talk to you guys about my giveaway. Yes, I'm doing my first giveaway. It's actually going to be a monthly recurring giveaway for all of my YouTube subscribers because I love books and you guys love books, and I was like, what way could I show and share my appreciation with you guys? So I decided that every month I would do a book giveaway. And this month I'm going to start off with The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho because so many people have asked me about it, and it's one of the books that I fell in love with when I was on like a journey to like self-discovery. And so that's going to be the first book I give away. I'm going to give it away on June 30th is when I will announce the winner. What you need to do to get your hands on a copy of this text is subscribe to my YouTube channel, subscribe to my Instagram channel, and subscribe to my Twitter. Each of these are going to be posted like right through here and also in the description box. Once you do that, you can comment on this video and say done, and I will cross-reference it and then randomize the selections, and the winner will be announced June 30th on that video. So if you want to participate, those are the rules, and I wish everybody good luck. If you don't want to participate and just want to buy the book, no worries. There's also a link in my bio that sends you directly to my Amazon site where you can buy it from me. So those are your options. I hope that you participate, and I hope that you become a subscriber because I'm more than happy to keep you guys around and talk books with you. Now, let's talk about this situation. So Ellison pretty much wrote, Edgar Hyman, or Stanley Hyman, was going around like, oh yeah, did you read Invisible Man? The Trickster character is so classic Negro folklore. Ellison ain't like that. What you need to know about Ellison is he does not identify as a black man as much as he identifies as an American man. So he doesn't think that his skin color dictates his actions and ideologies as much as living in America has dictated his actions and ideologies, even though it is a mixture of being black, right? He's like, but if I was black in another country, I would not have this mindset. I would not feel how I felt. If I was black in Africa, people wouldn't be lynching me. You know what I'm saying? If I was black in Europe, people wouldn't be asking me to dance and shuck and jive. Like, it's just different. And so he's saying, because I am black in America, my experience and my thought process is more American than anything else. So that's number one. He didn't like people trying to dictate his identity based on his race because he knew that race was a social construct and his identity was based on his experience, that was brought on by those social constructs, and that only happens in America. You feel me? That's where he was at with it. Okay, so when Edgar Hyman pretty much said this, he felt compelled. Ellison felt compelled to write this man back, and when he wrote him back, he tells him, like, look, your view of the trickster archetype is BS, right? Because the way he views it defies those typical definitions. He doesn't think that the trickster character solely represents Negro folklore. In fact, he argues that to look at the trickster like that is far too rigid, far too limiting. The racial attitudes, the political expediencies, the guilt, and the white compulsion to like consistently identify him like that it's not okay, right? Like, to be exploited like that and to be thought of like that only continues to perpetually represent prejudice and discrimination. If every time you saw someone lie to get out of trouble and you pair that with blackness, you're creating a level of generalization in your mind that basically says that black people are liars. You know what I'm saying? And it's the bullshit. And so Ellison argues that, one, that's bullshit. And then he says, these limits serve to constrict one's view of the trickster from being seen beyond its figurative mask. So to Ellison, the trickster is less of a literary archetype and more of an ingrained quality of American society. So it's not a black thing or a literature thing. It's actually a very, very, very American thing. And so he does know that the trickster did originate itself in Negro folklore. However, it is important to understand that Negro folklore came about in America, one, and that it represents American society, two. So for Americans, the trickster is everywhere and anywhere and at the same time. Like, the trickster can be black, white, green, yellow. I hate when people say green and yellow. He can be a black person, a white person, an Asian person, Hispanic person. Like, these things, it doesn't have to be a black person. So take that part of it out of your mind. He also says that the trickster character is not Negro folklore, but argues that it actually equates itself to the same virtues as W.B. Yeats. And he says that it is distinct from passive acceptance of a current code in the wearing of the mask. Like, everybody must wear a mask. It is the code. It is the code for our survival. And I'll give you some examples from regular life. Okay, so I have been guilty of this action. When I would get a flat or a blowout and I was just like on the road, I would typically get out my car and look dismayed, like, oh my God, what do I do? I know exactly what to do, but I also didn't have AAA, and I knew if I got out my car and look at dismayed, someone was bound to stop and help me, which happened every single time. Yes, that is a trickster move. I was definitely manipulating things to get something that I wanted. There are times where we tell little white lies. Perhaps we say, I just had some trouble with my car this morning when we're late to work, when really we slept in. Like, we just say certain things because that's how you get by in life. That's the code, that's the mask. Some people do it on more extreme levels. You see politicians who wear a mask. You've had people who were black who passed for white, which is wearing a mask. So whether you do it limiting and to a point of no one's getting hurt, or you do it in a big way, there is the reality that each of us from time to time or all the time put on a certain mask. Consider when you get on social media. You typically don't get on and show yourself looking a hot ass mess unless you're me. But typically you get on and you try to put your best foot forward. You try to bring positivity. You try to entertain your audience. That is also the application of a mask. So he wants you to understand that the mask wearing and the manipulation, yes, we do it, but it doesn't have to be something that you equate with black people, and you can equate with wrongness, because honestly you should equate it with your American ideals. And then he says, within American society, the assumption of a mask draws power. It brings you power. Similar to the masked colonists who dumped the tea in the harbor to make a stand against taxation. The fluidity of identity is presented in these people in this way. So he says when the Americans went, the colonizers went and dropped the tea in the harbor, they didn't dress as colonizers or pilgrims, they dressed as Indians. And it was very apparent who threw the tea in the harbor, but they enjoyed the wearing and the application of the mask to play with that idea of appearance versus reality. And we see it today. We see people don masks in order to hide their identity or to boost their identity or to boost their ability to have power. Consider the KKK, right? They wear a hood. It's a reason, because they think that they have more power in their inability to be identified, right? That double coin. I can be a regular man in the day and I can be a villain at night, and so to do it, I must wear a mask. And so that is the idea here. So even he compares it to people like Benjamin Franklin, to William Faulkner, to Lincoln, and to Hemingway. He says each of these men donned a mask where they told us who they were in one way, but then operated in a very different way. Hemingway said he was a sportsman, a macho guy, but he was a writer. Faulkner said, I'm just a simple farmer, but he's also a writer. Lincoln said he was nothing more than a lawyer. He became the goddamn president, okay? And then there's Benjamin Franklin. So I'm not quite sure what he was supposed to do, but didn't he do it all? And he ain't even become a president, and he found himself on $100 bill. So that goes to show you that power comes from our ability to hide or disguise who we are and position ourselves to gain and manipulate it to our advantage. So what I found interesting about his commentary here is the idea of hiding yourself. So he even used Reinhardt as an example. He says that this man identified with many different associations. And Reinhardt, well, if you don't remember, was the guy at the end of the book that Invisible Man walked into, and it was like he didn't know if he was a pimp or a bookie or a preacher, or he didn't know who this man was, which speaks to harnessing the power of our invisibility. It speaks about if people don't know who we are, then we can absolutely be anyone. And if we can be anyone or no one at all, then it operates as an opportunity for us to become whatever one chooses to be. And there's power in that. To reject the identity falsely cloaked upon a person by white Americans and then assuming one of your own is absolutely freeing. And so he wants us to think of that think of the idea of being able to create yourself and become something. And that's the idea of the self-made man in itself. So the sentiments expressed by Ellison in this essay illuminate much of the relationship he wished to explore between like Jim Trueblood and the Invisible Man, between Invisible Man and Reinhardt, and then in his last book, 3 Days Before the Shooting, between Bliss Sunraider and Alonzo Hickman. He wants to show that mask and how it operates. And both men are forced to reach beneath the assumed mask of the very core of human existence. You must reach beneath your mask sometime and be vulnerable, and they had to do that. And so he offers a criticism of Huckleberry Finn, and he talks about Negro Jim's childlike naivete within the work. And he says Jim's friendship to Huck comes across as that of a boy for another boy rather than as a friendship of an adult for a child. An issue which Ellison believes is a violation of societal mannerisms as a held between blacks and whites, as well as a violation of adult masculinity. In revealing such concerns, one gains a greater understanding of the role of both Hickman and Sunraider. So he pretty much argues that Negro Jim is reduced to a comedy figure who owes his life to this white boy. And he says that in his other book, 3 Days Before the Shooting, Alonzo Hickman refuses such identities. He assumes power most so to assume his power, he forces Bliss to remove his mask. He's like, I'm not gonna pretend to be a child just so you can pretend to be a man. No, we're both gonna be open here and we're gonna remove our masks. And then so with the mask removed, Bliss, who pretends to be a white man, he says the white man seems a hypocrite who boast of pure identity while standing with his humanity exposed to the world. So he pretty much argues that this idea of white being superior is simply a mask, and once you remove it, you're just like any other man, and in fact lesser than, because you look foolish. And once you're exposed like that, it's very hard to take on your humanity again. And so he talks about how white supremacy must wear a mask in order to operate, how African Americans must wear a mask in order to survive, how women must wear a mask in order to, you know, be taken care of, be a wife, whatever the fuck it is. Everybody wears a mask, and it is a part of our American identity. He says the identity of the trickster is surely evident within Ellison's work, but more importantly is a device to illuminate the nature of American society and the reliance on the veil of human identity in exchange for godlike qualities, right? So the idea that if I were to don this mask, I can become larger than life. I can become bigger than anything else. And I think we see it every day. We see it in celebrity culture. We see it in politics. We see it in just when you go to a club, you see it. Everywhere you go, you know, you see the donning of the mask, how we hide our insecurities, how we hide our humanity, and how we become larger than life in order to do so. So yeah, just a little more about the trickster and how it operates in America. I hope that you enjoyed it. If you did, you know, go ahead and subscribe. See me next time. Also, be sure to get your hands on a copy of that book, because I am more than happy to share that with you guys. I'm so excited to be doing these monthly giveaways, and I hope that you guys participate. It's been real. Love and light. I'll catch y'all Wednesday. We're going to be doing a review on Wednesday. Hopefully it's going to be The Water Dancer, but I haven't finished it yet, so it very well might be something else. But we're going to find out. I'll see you guys next time.